Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We have our part 2 of the NFC West, and tonight we're talking about the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks are coming into this game with a 9-8 record this season. Last season was 9-8. They're looking to improve this season. So they went out, they brought back an old face to the franchise, and I think they brought someone else in. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I'm looking at the roster right now and I don't really see the name. This name's not actually coming to mind right now, but honestly, a lot of their key pieces from last season stayed around this season, so that's good. Let's just talk real quickly about. Of course, they did lose Rashad Penny. I think that's a decent loss for them, but they still have Ken Wofford III as a running back. That's not bad. Let's talk about the offense first, real quickly. Like I just said, Kenneth Walker III staying around. I know they lost Rashad Penny, but I mean, you know, it could have lost more. They could have lost DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, and that would have did a big blow to them. Speaking of those two, they are coming back this season as well too. They also have Noah Fant, who's actually turning into a really good and solid tight end for them. And the main story for this season is Geno Smith. Last season, a lot of people thought that the Seahawks were going to be a bad team because of Geno Smith starting, and he came out and he looked like a star quarterback, that's been just hiding on the bench for so long. Geno Smith has been in the league for quite some time because he's been reliable as a backup, and he's showing now that he's actually can be reliable, maybe, hopefully, as a starter? I don't know yet. I mean, last season was just an anomaly for him. I've got to see more from Geno Smith before I start believing in him, and that's the main problem right now. So Geno Smith has a better season than he did last season. He looked like a star last season, man. He looked like he was an elite quarterback last season some plays. And sometimes he, sunk under pressure against certain defenses, but it happens in the NFL, guys. I mean, not every quarterback has the best, weeks. But Geno Smith, if he comes out looking like that again, the sky's the limit for the Seattle Seahawks. On defense, like I said, they brought back a familiar face in Bobby Wagner, bring him back from the Rams. I believe he's on a one-year deal. They still have Mario Edwards Jr. I think Mario Edwards is actually the one I was thinking of. Hold on, let me just check real quick. But, I mean, they brought back Jamal Charles. They still have Quadrir Diggs, I think that's how you say his name, in the backfield for safety. I mean, the stuff is not hurting them, per se. I mean, they still have a decent defense. And, yes, it was Mario Edwards Jr. that I was thinking of that they brought in as the line. I thought it was somebody, I just couldn't recognize his name. They bring in Mario Edwards Jr. to give some pass rush to the defensive line as well. They were missing pass rushing last season. I believe they also brought in, they just brought him back, DeMarcus Jones, I think. Oh no, they did bring him in too. So yeah, they tried to rebuild the defensive line with Jones and Mario Edwards Jr. You see, I knew they built something on the defensive line. I just didn't think of the names. So we'll see how it goes for them, if they actually get pressure on defense on defensive side of the ball or not, and hopefully help the safeties and the cornerbacks and the front. If they get pressure on them, it's going to be a hard season to beat these Seahawks. You know what I mean? But let's get to the scheduling and see what I predict for them this season. So my problem with the Seahawks this season is what Geno Smith is going to come out and play for the Seahawks this season and in these games, and it affects the records just in general, having to think that question. So I have him going a ceiling of 13-4 if Geno Smith is all that he cracks up to be. If he plays in an elite level like he did last season, the Seahawks could be a very dangerous team and could be really good this season. An average of 9-8 if Geno Smith does what he did last season and, streaky. He can have really good games. He can also have really bad games. And it fluctuates between 9-8. And then a floor is if Geno Smith just falls off a cliff and they go 6-11 because of the Geno Smith experiment actually falling a curse on them. So that is my prediction so far for these schedules. Let's talk about the games real quickly. They beat the Rams week 1, or they lose to the Rams week 1, I'm sorry. Lose to Detroit week 2. They beat the Panthers in week 3. Lose to the Giants week 4. They beat the Bengals in a close contest. Maybe Joe Burrow's back by that time. Maybe not. We don't know. They beat the Cardinals. They beat the Browns in a close contest. Lose to the Ravens in a close contest. Beat the Commanders. Beat the Rams. Beat the Niners at home. Lose to the Cowboys in a close contest. Lose to San Fran in San Fran. Lose to the Eagles. Lose to the Titans in I think that's gonna be one of the Titans' main games they win. Geno Smith having just a bad game against Titans. That's all I gotta say about that one. They beat the Steelers, and then they beat the Cardinals to end this season out. let's go to my final thoughts on the Seahawks. So, final thoughts on the Seahawks is I have the same opinion as I do with the Niners on them, and that all depends on the quarterback play of Geno Smith. Now, I think Geno Smith has proven a lot more than Brock Purdy has, like, last season, because he played the full season, and he was actually playing at an elite level last season. He played really good against certain defenses. He also had some bad games against certain defenses. Neither here nor there for the Seahawks, but I think that if Geno Smith falls off a cliff, like, he had one good season, guys. I can't just give him, like, the fucking key to Seattle because he fucking had one season, you know what I mean? So yeah, I want to see more Geno Smith in this offense, and I think the Niners also have a better shot of being, like, just really good this season, is because they have a better defense, and that's going to be, like, the main problem for the Seahawks this season. Even if Geno Smith does actually play really good, and even if he plays like he did last season and was streaky sometimes, I still can see the Seahawks losing games, even with Geno Smith actually carrying them, because the defense just allows stuff that they shouldn't allow. I mean, Bobby Wagner's not getting any younger. I mean, and the defense, I mean, this defensive line that they rebuilt has to get some pressure on quarterbacks, and if they cannot get pressure on the quarterback, then, you know, there's not really help to save this Seahawks defense. So yeah, I mean, right now the Seahawks might be a 9-8 average team. It might even go down to a floor level because of this, but if everything works out right for them and they actually get pressure on the quarterback and Geno Smith plays like at a solid level once again, the sky's the limit for the Seahawks, and they could be a dangerous contender going forward in the NFC. And plus, the NFC is not so lop heavy like the AFC is this season, so any team, even a Seahawks team at 9-8, I think can make the playoffs this season, because I think the NFC is going to be just far and wide open for any team just in general. But yeah, that is my predictions and thoughts for the Seahawks. You might disagree with me, that's fine, we all have different opinions. We'll find out what happens when the season comes around. But if you like this video, hit that like button. If you like what you see here on the content, please follow, or subscribe. I'm so used to Twitch, I keep saying follow, but subscribe. And I'll see you guys for the next video when we talk about the Los Angeles Rams. See you then.